Candice Tourrette is here. She is the boss. She's owned and run restaurants and started in the working for a distributor in 2009, if I read this correctly. And we worked together for 5 years now. And you know, every now and then you work with somebody that's, you can say, this is an absolute joy. Candice is one of those people. She really knows how to ride her people and ride her the right way, not the wrong way. She works very well. She's got great communication skills. She makes my job much, much easier. But she's going to talk today. She's brought her partner in crime. Lauren Vucci has been with the distributor since 2016. And this is the first year that we've worked together. And I asked her for a little favor last night, and lo and behold, when I got back from delivering Meals on Wheels, there it was. And for all those who have been clamoring for the list, it's went out this morning after I got it. So she is my #1 hero today. So I'm going to let them talk to you about distributors. They both work for Republic National Distributing Company, and they'll be able to tell you what that is. But the important thing is that's where we get the wine, and they get it to me and they get it right, and they do good work for us. So Candice, it's your show.
All right, thank you so much. All right. Well, hello everyone. I'm so happy to be here for many reasons. Ron asked me and Lauren a couple of weeks ago to dive into who, what, when, where, and why we do what we do. And I was honored that he did so that I could get in front of you with Lauren to talk about what goes on behind the scenes of the wine event that we have done 5 years. I've done consecutively 5 years with Ron and Rebecca and you all. So I'm going to just go ahead and dive into this. I'm going to talk about who I am, what RNDC Oregon is as far as coupling with the wine industry, and then some broad strokes explanations of RNDC as a whole and the people who work within it. So you all know when you show up at the wine event, you know what went on and all the layers behind the scenes to get you the wine that comes to you from all over the world for this event. So here I go. I'm Candice Tourrette. I have worked for Republic National Distributing Company, RNDC, for 14 years. I'm a district manager for the Portland metropolitan areas of Oregon. I'm honored to be here. The Rotary Stock Your Cellar wine event is honestly my favorite event of the year. And it's not just because of the energy of all the people involved, all of you. It's for all of the great causes that it supports. So that touches my heart every year, knowing that I'm helping foster children get presents. You know, choked up. All of the things that you're doing globally, it's an incredible force. And I love being a part of it. This is my 5th year working with the East Portland Rotary wine sales team led by Ron and Rebecca Atwood. All right, so who the heck am I and what do I do? I'm an on-premise district manager, which means I manage accounts based anywhere that you consume and buy beverage on the premise. So that includes restaurants, movie theaters, golf courses, comedy clubs, sporting events, concert halls. You get the idea, right? So I'm going to dig into the scope of RNDC Oregon first. And like I said, we'll go out to the bigger broad strokes of what RNDC nationally does. There are 908 total Oregon wineries, most of which reside in the Yamhill, Carlton, and Willamette Valleys. RNDC warehouses and distributes 955 total brands of wine, sake, beer, non-alcoholic mixers, waters to all Oregon accounts. With those brands, we sell 8,000 individual items. RNDC sells, warehouses, and distributes 59 Oregon brands. We are a full service distributor, meaning we warehouse and have a sales force, as well as portfolio managers that work directly with the suppliers to execute with the sales teams what needs to be done and sold with their wines. Sales team consists of 2 main channels, off-premise, which is retail, and on-premise, again, restaurants, anywhere you consume. Off-premise retail examples are New Seasons, Market of Choice, Albertsons, Costco, Fred Meyer's, liquor stores, convenience stores, any grocery store. We also warehouse for our sub-distributors. Who deliver for us to convenience stores and smaller on-premise accounts across the state, such as taverns, bars, sports pubs, and growleries. A sub-distributor company would be Miletus for the Portland Metro territory, and a company like Bigfoot for the downstate branches. Overview of all the on-premise channels of PDX Metro. So the sales team reports to me. I have 6 fantastic dedicated wine and sake reps in the on-premise channel. Lauren Vucci is one of them, and I'll talk a lot more about her a little bit later. The downstate hierarchy consists of a vice president. He heads the 5 branches in Salem, Eugene, Medford, Bend, and the Coast Markets. What the portfolio managers do there are for the entire state of Oregon, as well as those sales teams. So the portfolio managers, we also call them the PMs. They manage inventory, vintages, quality, and the nuances of everything about the wine. And they work directly with the suppliers and the wineries. The portfolio team also works directly with the wineries and the sales teams to figure out and decipher how much we need to sell, the sales team, of all of the products to keep our RMDC happy with the suppliers. Wine suppliers organize many charities and programs that are built into the sales of their wines, such as there are many charity programs for funding of planting of trees, Save Salmon, Meals on Wheels, and Feed America. A few of my personal favorite are Sutter Home for Hope, where every bottle sold gives $1 to cancer research. There's been millions of dollars over the last 17 years for that program. Another one is New Seasons Market, partners directly with Oregon wineries, and every bottle sold, a percentage goes to the Humane Society. Within RDC, we have a human resource team that heads up network groups. We're a very progressive company. Company-wide, we have network groups for armed forces, one called Athena, which is our women's partner network group that Lauren Vucci is the co-president of. There's a parent group, a Pacific Islander group, a rainbow group supporting LGBTQ, just to name a few. Again, these are support groups for RNDC employees. RNDC is nationwide in 38 states and growing. We are the 2nd largest distributor of beverage and growing in the country, soon to be the largest. That is the goal of this national senior executive team within the next 10 years. In the state of Oregon, we are the broker only for spirits, as well as Idaho, Utah, Montana, and Wyoming. These states have liquor control commissions, meaning that items of 20% of alcohol, also known as proof of alcohol, these states cannot distribute beverage alcohol. In these states, spirits go directly to the warehouse and are sent to liquor stores. So what happens in the warehouse? Talked a lot about the warehouse. I talked about the people that manage the portfolios, the sales team, which Lauren and I work with, but the warehouse is this huge logistics functionality that fascinates me. And this is getting to the fun part. So the warehouse, what happens in the warehouse? Product comes in from all over the world. It's then wrapped and stored. We have a massive refrigerator that's probably 4 times the size of this level of the building, it feels like, where all of the high-end sakes and wine are stored. And then the fun part, how it gets to you. The orders are put in by Salesforce of 52 reps statewide. Night pickers working in the warehouse work all night long to pack each truck for all of those on and off premise accounts. The trucks dispatch starting at 4:30 every Monday through Friday. There are around 15 to 25 trucks that dispatch on these days to cover the entire state of Oregon. Now I'm going to talk about one of my favorite persons in the planet, Lauren Vucci. A fantastic wine rep on my team who has been with RNDC for 6 years and has a total of 20 years in the hospitality industry. She's an Italian wine specialist. She is a WSET wine and sake certified. Lauren developed the list with runner Rebecca Atwood and their awesome tasting team, and I see a few of you here for this year's wine event. I'm going to hand it over to Lauren, who's going to give you the broad strokes of all of the fantastic wines that are going to be showcased for you to all buy and your friends for this year's Stalker Salad. Lauren, take it away.
I'm Lauren Vucci. Thank you so much for having us. I really appreciate it. And as Candice said, I had the pleasure of working directly with Ron and Rebecca. Dave is here, tasting, planning, plotting, and figuring out what was going to work this year for this event. And I actually, over the years, have heard about the Rotary event. It's a big deal on our team. The lucky rep who gets to be the rep for Rotary is always very happy. And it's a fun thing for us for a couple of different reasons. It dovetails really nicely with the things that we enjoy most about our jobs. So from that perspective, my overall job is really to serve my customers. I am a wine rep, but the biggest part of our job is service. And when I go to my accounts, I go to restaurant accounts. I have a couple of accounts that do specialty retail within their restaurants. But for the most part, I'm talking to buyers who are literally purchasing wine to make their customers happy. You who go to the restaurants, who dine with them and spend your precious money with them. So it's really important for us to be able to help our buyers understand the wines without being intimidated, and also give them the amount of information and the type of information they need so that they can educate their staff members, who can then educate their customers. And that's where I feel our jobs really dovetail nicely with the Rotary event, because really the Rotary event is all about you guys coming, drinking wine and having fun, and also learning about wine. And this year we used some of the information from previous years. I'm coming in as the first rep after the pandemic, so I understand the last 2 years have been virtual, which I'm sure was a completely different experience than what everyone is used to. And we took some of the sales data from previous years and looked through and saw what types of items, what varietals, what specific wines did well, which maybe didn't do as well. We looked at price points, and we really tried to come up with something that incorporated some of the hits that you all have come to know and love and rely upon, and also some new items. And we really are, as Candice said, taking you all over the world. We've got a representative who I'm sure you have met if you've been at this event before. His name is Todd Bacon. He's our Italian category manager, and he will be pouring an entire table of Italian wines. We have one of our biggest suppliers from Trincaro Family Estates. Our rep there is Hudson. He's a valued member of our team, and he's going to be pouring a few different wines, most of which come from California. One of my coworkers, Paul, is going to be pouring our Estates Group wines, and this is a part of our portfolio that focuses on smaller producers, more boutique items, things that you won't necessarily find widely distributed in any sort of restaurant or retail settings, but they're key placements at key locations around the city. And that portfolio actually is going to be bringing you some French wine, some American wine as well. I think we have a couple of Southern American imports on that one. I have a table that includes some of everything, some Oregon, some France, and then we have another table that has imports from Chile, Argentina, Italy, and some key varietals that you also are looking for. So things like Brunello and Sangiovese, other will have at the tables. We'll do some sparkling wine. Ron was insistent that we had some Cremant this year, so we are making sure that happens. And then lastly, of the 40 wines, we really are giving you a mix. There are 30 wines that will be within kind of your mid-tier, low to mid-tier price points, and then 10 reserve wines. So really what we're hoping is that when you come to the event, you can find things that work for you for everyday drinking, work as gifts for the holidays, and really at the end of the day, sponsor what the entire event is about, which is fundraising for your important charities. So I appreciate the opportunity. We appreciate the opportunity. And thank you so much for letting us be here and for having us at the event on Sunday.
Thank you, Lauren and Candice. Do you have any questions for Lauren and Candice? Yes, Rob.
I was gonna ask Candice, you mentioned there's a couple states that you have to distribute directly to the liquor stores,
Mhm.
and you can't, I guess, do it to grocery stores and things.
Correct.
What states are those?
It's Oregon, Utah, Wyoming, not Washington anymore, it was a couple years ago, but, and yeah, so Oregon is not, Oregon is it's called a controlled state, meaning that the product comes in from the state to the state-owned warehouse, and then from the warehouse distributed directly to liquor stores. So that's why it's not in grocery stores in Oregon.
Okay.
Great.
Often wondered, I go into like a Fred Meyer or Safeway, and I'll go down the wine aisle. And I'll see individual bottles from a myriad of wineries. And often wonder just kind of the backstory in terms of how these different wineries get shelf space.
Yeah, that's
And,
a great question.
and just, I mean, it's like, how can anyone, maybe non-Gallo or one of the name, you know, the bigger name wineries, how do they even make it?
Well, I'm gonna simplify this as much as I can, but it's a great question. Give me a stand up. Okay. So there are, for all of those major wineries, there are suppliers. So the supplier is actually the marketer for a lot of those wineries that you see in grocery stores. And they work directly with the buyers, or we call them banner chain stores. So like a Fred Meyer's and Albertsons, the Safeway. So those major chain retailers, they have a team of people that are working at their corporate office that are the wine and beer buyers. So there's a team within RNDC, there's a team within Southern, there's a team within most major distributors, not smaller distributors, that work directly with those chain buyers. So we have the chain sellers, which is our team, working with the suppliers. So then they're working with the chain team. And they literally, that team of people within RNDC and Southern, call it, that are hired to do that, work with chains, they're called account executives. They are selling to those buyers just like we are selling to Ron. Whatever their process is, whether it's tasting wine, seeing what programs they have, that is literally their dedicated job year round, is to decide what goes in the sets. And all of those major stores have a system called resets. And every year, that is the chance where 3 or 4 months ahead of time, call it, all of the chain managers and key account managers for RNDC work with those chain sellers, and they have meetings, and that's where the rubber meets the road. A lot of it is fact-based selling, IRI data, which everything that's scanned in a grocery store is tracked by IRI data. It's all of those things come into play. Just like when Lauren was working with Ron to see what was selling, that kind of data is what's used to decipher what's picked. Now, Oregon is a special market because we have a winery. I mean, we have wineries here. We have wine country. We have wineries. So there's always room and a little bit more of an exception for local. So there's the massive chain sales that happen right from Gallo, as you mentioned. Gallo does a lot of the set writing for major grocery stores. But also for Washington and Oregon, there's also some flex space made because they know in those markets, people want to buy what's local. So they allow for all of that. Does that answer your question? Yeah, thank you. Oh, yes.
Costco has a reputation for excellent wines at reduced prices.
Mhm.
Is that a function of their buyers being astute at picking out things, or your guys sending them special things because of the volume they do? How would you answer that?
That is a mixture of all of those things. So yes, yes, and yes. So wines, they are an organic product, and sometimes there's a lot of a vintage that's made. There's a lot of a certain kind of wine that's made, or a varietal that's made. So Costco does a great job, and they do have a fantastic buyer. And also we have a team of people that works with Costco to do exactly what I was just explaining. So there is actually a dedicated Costco salesperson on our team, as well as there's a buyer for wine and beer for all the Costco's nationally and locally. So same process. It's what do you have on deal? What kind of deal based on a lot of vintages, what's really selling, products that is really hot at the moment. And also the Kirkland brands are actually established wines, as well as not in Oregon, but as far as even the liquor that's sold in Costco's in other non-privatized states. They are all oftentimes really good brands that you would recognize that just had way too much juice. And so Kirkland put their label on it and now it's a Costco wine, but it's super quality.
Jim,
This morning, I think I read about, an investment company that just bought another one of our big wineries, along with San Michelle and ABC or whatever it is. Is that going to change anything for you or for them?
You know, it could. You know, the thing about wine that's different than other beer, we are not contracted like beer is because it's a lower alcohol. So, you know, it does. I mean, we're ever changing. We pick up brands within our distributorship and lose brands all the time. It's all part of the fun. Like I say they pay us to put them there and they pay us to take them away. It's just part of the business. Wineries and suppliers hop ship from distributors all the time for a myriad of reasons. They want a fresh start. They want a fresh sales team. They are now part of a bigger suppliership. So that partnership in particular, I don't know. We will see. We're kind of the first to know, and it's usually a rumor before anything changes. And then, oh, by the way, yes, that you're picking up this brand or that brand, or they're splitting this suppliership between distributors. Sometimes that happens. So those decisions are made between the distributors way above my level and obviously the wineries and supplierships. Yes.
About your company, I was surprised to read in your biography that the company was founded, I think, 1898 by a couple of family people back east.
Yeah.
Who are those people and how did they manage to take over the spirits industry over the last century?
So, well, that's a great question. So it's, you know, just like our company, I'll give you an example. In the last 10 years, then in the 14 years I've been with this company, we have changed from Columbia Distributing to Young's Market Company to now RNDC. So it's with the mind share of the three families to do what's best and invest, and they invested along the way all through the years, and basically especially accelerated in the last, I'd call it 20 years of buying small distributorships and partnering with small distributorships, starting in the East and now obviously now in the West in the last 3 years that we've been RNDC. So it was really that model of just, you know, picking up more and more distributorships, smaller ones, and becoming into the fold and covering more territory.
so one more question, Dave.
Yeah, if you're just starting out as a small winery, how do they get noticed?
That's a great question. You know, typically smaller wineries, we are a big distributor, right? So we need a certain amount of cases, usually in the, call it thousands production. So some small wineries can do that. And it depends on what you consider a small winery, right? There's all kinds of levels of what is a small winery, because there's so many different sizes and how many different, from 1 million case wineries to a couple 100 case wineries. So the first thing that would have to happen is, and there are smaller distributorships. So, I mean, we have, you know, Mitchell is a smaller distributor. That's a distributor in Oregon. Typically smaller wineries that have enough juice to go in, you know, be producing wine and be sold to restaurants and a select, call it, you know, bottle shop or what have you. They're smaller. They just don't have enough of that product to go the vast, right? So if you do want to go that way and you are a winery that's smaller that wants to go bigger, typically you go with a smaller distributor like Mitchell. Then the more you sell, the more you make. Then eventually you get to a certain amount of a couple thousand cases within each varietal, and you go to a bigger distributor and you knock on the door of a portfolio manager and you say, hey, I can make enough juice. This wine is proven. The wine is tasted by the portfolio team, and then the decisions are made. how much of each margin can we make, and the business deals go on, and that's how that happens.